Y'all, it is a big day on Wizard101. Finally, after what feels like an eternity, we finally received our first spell teaser for the upcoming DARKMOOR update. This is crazy. I don't think they've actually done something like this before, but this is what they posted on social media. It looks like an early version of a spell animation for one of 7 new DARKMOOR spells. And I really like the concept of this. It's like a witch doctor-ish type of thing, I think, going on from DARKMOOR, using spell cards to physically do damage. I don't think that's something we've ever seen before. Now, they did say that they're going to be saying more and walking us through how these spells are made on CAD Live if y'all are interested in that, but this teaser is a little bit bigger than it seems on the surface, in my opinion. I kind of went down a crazy rabbit hole because I was already going to make a video talking about this before, but I think the spell teaser was kind of the final piece, so we're going to be talking about a lot here. Why do I think this teaser is important beyond just that it looks cool? Because I think it features Vidima from Pirate 101, or at least one of her relatives. And if y'all don't know who Vidima is, she's like the witch doctor trainer. She literally uses cards for, like, you know, fortune telling and various other thing. But it is confirmed in Pirate 101 that she's from DARKMOOR, and I think what's very, very likely, if they want to avoid a real direct crossover, what we could be doing here is seeing an NPC that we actually interact with DARKMOOR in action in the form of a spell. It is stated in the Pirate 101 lore that she actually fled from her family, but it was never explained why. It could very, very well be that the reason that she fled is tied to the Earthborn plot, which is basically this idea that there is another person in the spiral just like the wizard. This is kind of the plot that unraveled in Selenopolis. It's very likely that this other Earthborn is actually going to be our main antagonist in the next arc. If any of Vidima's family is left in DARKMOOR and we end up interacting with her, we could be seeing, for the first time in a while, I want to say, some sort of Pirate 101, Wizard101 crossover, obviously with more things in Wizard101 because it's a Wizard101 update. But why do I think this is a little bit bigger than just that? Because if I'm correct, let's say this is Vidima or one of her relatives, this is not the only Pirate 101 reference that we've already seen if you count data mined files. Now, I didn't really cover these because I just thought, like, because these came out in July, I just thought, why am I covering data mine files for something very unfinished? But it's obvious that test realm is very soon. I think they've already done a contest where the end date is when test realm launches. That's from yesterday's video. But there's other Pirate 101 references in the data mine files. Now, keep in mind, data mine files from July, they're subject to change. This is not something that's guaranteed to make it into the game. But when people looked at the game update, I guess, in July, they found files relating to the upcoming DARKMOOR update. There were 2 big things that stood out to me. One, there is supposedly a new area in the arcanum that we end up exploring. Now, in a recent patch, you might have already figured that out because they accidentally added an unused arcanum sigil. To my knowledge, I've done a lot of side quests on this guy right here. For this sigil to be unlocked, it can only mean one thing. It means that a part of DARKMOOR does involve doing something in the arcanum that involves a dungeon. Would not be our first time. However, this arcanum data mined file shows a windstone, arguably one of the biggest references to Pirate 101 that we've ever seen. If y'all don't know what a windstone is, it's basically the main way that you access different worlds in Pirate 101. It's basically Pirate 101's version of a spiral door. But finally, we have confirmation that something about the way the arcanum is, and since it is a ship, is related to how ships work in Pirate 101. That would make, with the spell teaser, 2 connections to Pirate 101 that we have yet to see. The third one, and this one is a little ridiculous, another data mine file. Now, this is from what looks to be the first area of DARKMOOR that we access. Now, again, I didn't cover this in July because it's obviously unfinished to me. It kind of looks like they threw a bunch of housing items together. I think this is not the fully fleshed version of whatever area this is in DARKMOOR. But this is one part of the data mine files that I thought were really, really cool. It looks to be some sort of fortune-telling situation going on in a table, except with treasure cards from Wiz. Now, why do I think this is kind of crazy? Because these exact cards on this table actually showed up in Pirate 101 when the pirate needed help through fortune telling from someone. I want to say her name was Madame Esmeralda, Madame something. There's only 2 things that could happen here. Since these cards are the exact same, either this NPC is actually going to make it into DARKMOOR, she was relatively minor in Pirate 101, or they just reuse the asset without even shuffling the cards. I kind of find that hard to believe. I do feel like this is literally evidence that literally things we've seen in Pirate are gonna come over to Wiz. Why is all of this relevant? Because up to this point, I feel like we've really had to theorize because the game hasn't given us that many answers as to why there's another Earthborn in the spiral. I actually made a whole video on this because it was so suspicious that Merle actually knew when we came into the spiral, probably how we came here, and yet didn't say anything. And now in Selenopolis, we have evidence to believe there's another Earthborn. From everything we know, Merle kind of channeled Bartleby probably to actually bring us here. Is probably following Bartleby's instructions. We kind of got a little glimpse of that maybe us being here wasn't as coincidental because of the Scion plotline preceding Imperium. Right, it's very likely that we were brought here by Bartleby or through Bartleby for a purpose. For there to be another Earthborn, something similar has to have happened. Something of similar power as Bartleby, which is kind of crazy. And since Grandfather Spider and Grandmother Raven seem to be out of the picture, it really suggests only two things. Either something that the wizard did created a force similar to Bartleby that could actually summon another Earthborn, or what might be likely based on all of these connections to Pirate, maybe something that the Pirate did actually forced something to happen. Now, for them to involve Pirate 101 lore, I think it could be a hit or a miss, right? I think that's the real takeaway here. If there is like some kind of serious connection to Pirate 101 based on all of these references, it's hard for me to tell because Darkmoor is a world that's heavily featured in Pirate 101 lore, and it's hard to tell what the Pirate could have done that could have like done something as crazy as creating a force that could bring a wizard into the spiral. But the Pirate did mess with some pretty universal forces like even death, which I think is kind of nuts. And I also think it's kind of inevitable that such powerful figures like the wizard and the Pirate, all occupying the same space, don't have some sort of like interaction whatsoever. We kind of saw that in Pirate a little bit when they revisited Mushu and even Azteca after Morgant like basically messed it up. But we've never seen it the other way around, where the Pirate's actions influence the wizard's action. I don't know how I feel about that. It might actually incentivize people to play the other game, which I think is really, really cool. But also, you don't want to get into a situation like, I don't know, like the MCU, where you watch a movie that references something else and you're completely lost because you didn't watch the 5 movies before. But the more references I'm seeing, right, like literally a Windstone, which I think is crazy, the exact same treasure cards that were used in Pirate 101 to tell our future, and now this spell teaser, to me, I feel like that's too many coincidences for it to not be somewhat intentional. Do I think the wizard will meet the Pirate? Absolutely not. I think that would kind of mess with the internal logic of the game and what they've been doing. We've never really seen anything close to that. But I think for the wizard to seriously be unprepared against an antagonist, it would be really, really cool if there were forces at play that were a little bit more outside of their understanding, maybe from a different part of the universe that they've never had exposure to. But yes, y'all, the spell teaser today is our third direct reference to something, either a relative Redeemer or Redeemer herself from Pirate 101. I think that is too much to ignore. But I'd love to hear y'all's thoughts on this. Do y'all think that they are gonna tie in Pirate 101's plotline, especially because Darkmoor is such a big part of both games at this point? And what do you guys think of the spell teaser itself? Are y'all like, what school do y'all think the spell teaser is from? Do y'all like what they're doing, where they're, I guess, giving us an early phase of a spell instead of the full finished product, so that we have more and more to get excited about as the official test realm launch gets closer? I look forward to reading all of y'all's thoughts and comments, but I just thought it was a good opportunity to revisit all the different things that seem to be kind of like, you know, a little intentionally lining up between the two games. Could this be the update that seriously connects both universes? Who knows? Could be very exciting for people that play both games. Also could just be a cool little Easter egg that maybe incentivizes you to play the other game if you haven't yet. I look forward to reading all of y'all's thoughts in the comments. Drop a like if you enjoyed it. Leave a sub if you're new. And as always, if somebody hasn't told you awesome thing, they doing something wrong. Stay awesome, y'all. See y'all soon. And yeah.